Good morning, friends. And thanks for joining me here again for another episode of Coding with Christine Hall, coming to you from sunny South Florida. So, yesterday was our one day of winter. Woke up, was 66 degrees all day long. I don't even know what that was about. Don't worry. Today we are sunny and 75. Ooh, that's funny because I just saw Joe Nichols over the weekend. Yeah, I went to a Joe Nichols concert. Um, so today I have the pleasure of having my friend Vanessa Moldovan with me. She is a CPC, CPB, CPMA, CPPM, and a CPCI. She is absolutely incredible. She's the podcast host for the Love of Revenue Cycle. If you've ever listened to it, it's a no miss, right? Don't miss that one. Add it to your list today, now, right? She also hosts the popular Facebook page for the Love of Revenue Cycle, where she answers all of our burning questions about revenue cycle, billing, denials. Thank you so much for being here today, Vanessa. Vanessa's coming to us live from a high school gym somewhere in the world. So I understand she has a little bit of an internet issue there, but we're going to keep on keeping on. Got a lot of good stuff to talk about today. National Chicken and Waffle Day, Terry, in case you missed it. So we all know what I'm unfortunately having for dinner tonight, chicken and waffles. No disrespect to chicken and waffles, just not my favorite thing. Anyway, so I want to go ahead and get started with you, Vanessa. So interested to know, how did you choose your journey, your specialty there, revenue cycle?
Yeah, so I apologize. I went ahead and turned my camera off so that we don't get interruption with the audio.
That's quite all right.
But yeah, so I started actual revenue cycle, I started in 1997. I was working the front desk at a emergency room, worked in registration, and that was really my first entry into the world of revenue cycle. But and then I stayed in it. I tried all different kinds of things, back end, front end. I even took a detour into orthodontics and dental for a while, and really just trying to discover what I wanted to do with my life. I was taking a little bit of college classes on the side, and I was interested in healthcare, but knew I didn't want to treat patients, but I wanted to help people. So I just kept, moving forward and trying different things. And then about 15 years ago, I was introduced to physician revenue cycle. And that's really what started my career. And what really just, I just loved how it worked. It was very logical in my brain. And it fit my personality really well. I loved problem solving. I loved helping people. I loved, improving things, and I seemed to be really good at it. So I just went with it and decided, at that time that was going to be my career.
Well, from a previous owner of a billing company, I get that. I get that. I remember working in the hospital setting in the business office, working with, I was posting payments and learning how those denials were coming up. And I kept seeing patterns going on. And I kept saying, hey, if we fix this root problem, then we won't continue to have this problem. And like you said, I loved the way that everything was kind of organized. If this, then that, right? So a lot of people have had that kind of journey where they've kind of bounced into different things until they found their niche. And I think that that's one of those key things that we need to keep reminding people is, go dip your toe in the water, see what it looks like. That's how last week we had Angela Wubin on the show, and she got into dental. So it's funny that you dipped your toe into that kind of realm there as well, to see what it was that you enjoyed doing. Excellent. So I have to ask, when it comes to revenue cycle, denial management, what's your fave? So what I usually find is that I'll run some of those key production reports there, those key the KPI reports, where I would focus mostly on what are our denials that we're seeing, and then kind of categorize them and see if we're taught. There you are, Vanessa. Sometimes we've got to get away from technology to start over with. Thanks for for that. So I was talking to them about the denial management process and just how we run those reports to identify those areas, whether it be a demographic error or a coding error, maybe it's a back end error, or perhaps it's a contract error that we're looking at, and to kind of nip that problem in the bud and move on so that we don't see that anymore. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So what I was saying before my internet crapped out.
I love it.
What
Thanks.
what I love. I'm just gonna hang out outside in beautiful Park City.
You
Um,
actually look really great in that lighting, by the way.
okay, that's good. That's good. But what I love about denial management is it leads back to process improvement. And process improvement is really where I live. It's what I love. I mean, it's really what we do, right? I mean, why we're in the weeds and why we're making all these corrections, making sure our coding is correct, our billing is correct. It's all for process improvement so that the revenue flows how it's supposed to flow. So denial management is really the root of that. You can see, the good, bad, ugly of an organization is all in their denials. And that is primarily why I love it.
One of the things I share with my friends is I was doing a gap analysis of a practice's revenue cycle management a couple of years ago. And we had noticed that demographic denials were some of the top rejections
Mm-hmm.
and demographic denials. And
Mm-hmm.
so I thought, well, let me go sit with the front end person who does all the data entry of the patient information. Let's sit down, and we started talking and we made a friendship together. And she says, I'm going to tell you something, Christine. Sure, we're friends now. She says, I'm dyslexic. Oh,
Ooh.
honey, this is not the position for you. How challenging it was. And she shared with that how challenging it was because
Mm-hmm.
she knew that the problems were coming from her, but she didn't want to say anything. So we moved her to the referrals department, put someone else
Nice.
in her, and amazing. No more
Yeah.
denials for demographics or those rejections. So sometimes it is that process, even
Mm-hmm.
going down to that one-on-one human
Mm-hmm.
level, to find out how we can improve that process.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is. I mean, that brings up a really good topic, since we're talking about careers and such is, making sure you have the right person in the right position, including yourself. Sometimes it takes some self discovery and being honest and vulnerable and be like, these are my limitations, but these are my strengths, and to figure out where is the best place for you. And when I think that when you wake up in the morning and you think, I probably would go to my job without getting paid, you've probably found where you're supposed to be.
Definitely. I know that feeling.
Yeah, me too.
So, what are some of the challenges that you find? I mean, I think the fun things are also sometimes the challenging things
Hmm.
in revenue cycle and denial management. What are some of your challenges?
I mean, over the years that I've been doing this, I would say, first of all, it's been finding resources to help me learn the industry and learn this particular part, revenue cycle management. Like you can find, resources on billing, you can find resources on coding, but really looking at the entire, cycle, just really finding those educational resources to help you be, good at what you do. And then I think also operationally, I think my biggest challenges have just, unfortunately been those who are the decision makers. And, I've just had way too many situations where, you know, I feel, that there is a change that needs to be made and some improvement, maybe a software that needs to be purchased, maybe people that need to be hired, whatever. And going to those decision makers and, putting forward my case and not being taken credibly is
Mhm.
very difficult. And it's very difficult. And I would imagine it would be that way in any, in
It
any
is.
organization, where you just feel like you're not being taken seriously. And yet, in your heart, if that decision were made, it would really improve things, which is what everybody wants.
I had a situation a few years ago that I went into a practice to do an analysis, and the biller said that they don't have access to the encoder. Only the coder had access to the encoder. And I said, that's ridiculous. That's one of the biggest tools that you have. Encoders give you, LCDs, NCDs. Some encoders give you links to other payer policies. And,
Mm-hmm.
what an amazing tool that everybody needs. So you're right. And it came from administration. They didn't want to pay for another user to use the encoder.
Yeah.
And when I made that recommendation and said, hey, something so simple, like giving your staff tools to work with, it made all the difference when it came to working those denials. Billing felt like they had a bigger voice. They could go to administration or to the providers themselves and share that important indicators, medical necessity that was causing some denials there, how easy we could fix it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I recently had a conversation with somebody where their AR follow-up team didn't have access to do one-time eligibility checks. And I was just like, you cannot work AR if you cannot check eligibility, because guess what? 37% of your denials are related to eligibility. I mean, so if you don't want
Absolutely.
37% of them reversed, I guess that's okay. So it's, definitely that has been a challenge throughout my career.
I recently stuck my foot in my mouth too. I don't even know why I'm going to share this, but I did. So I was working with a client, and I said, the payer policies say that they don't cover consultations, this particular payer. So you'd have to report an E&M code. And they said, well, we don't do that. We don't code. We just code it and we send it out with the correct code. So if they said it was a consultation in their report, then we coded it as a consultation. And it just flew out of my mouth. And I said, oh, okay, wait a minute. So you're not worried about getting paid. You're just coding it correctly.
Exactly.
Well, the CFO was on the call. So that went over like, not well. But they didn't have anybody that was versed in the art of billing in
Yeah.
their organization. And so that was a big one there.
And
So,
that
and
is
that
an
happened.
important, it's an important topic we talk about a lot, Christine, right? Is the coding guidelines versus the billing guidelines.
Absolutely.
And it is a necessary conversation that it has to be had in all revenue cycles, and being respectful to those who love their coding guidelines and those who love their billing guidelines. But in the end, we're all here for the same result. We all are here to collect money, and educating each other and having that open conversation of the coding and the billing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They need to be working hand in hand. And oftentimes, at least a monthly meeting with that team, coding, billing, AR follow-up, revenue cycle, denial management, referrals. If you could have a team meeting on a monthly basis to, with an agenda that says, we're going to identify the struggles that everybody has, but we're not going to have one of those, complain sessions.
Right.
Right? We're going to actually bring a resolution to the table. So once a month, get together, bring the problems, put them to light, but also come with a solution in place, right? So we're not just spinning our wheels, continuing to do the same thing, the definition of insanity, right? And I think that's where a lot of organizations miss that mark, is that they've got to connect with each other, all of those key people in administration, to move through some of these challenges.
And then, both of us, we're on a mission, for providing resources for those who are in this industry, and so that they can be, set up for success in a way that we weren't. We really had to go after it and use all of that real life experience
I'll
to
never
build,
forget.
where we are today. And so I know you feel very passionate about it. I'm very passionate about it. Is putting that information there for others.
You turned me on to the biggest resource. I I cried. I cried in joy, and I cried for the years of my life I wanted back from the resource. So Vanessa turned me on to the AAPC's healthcare link. Lexi, can we scroll that? OMG. So check that link out, friends. AAPC.com. It's the resource. You go to the links there and you're looking for the payer information. AAPC has organized a little over 500 payers with links to their provider page, to their policy page, to their credentialing page. Once you see it, you're going to have the same kind of emotional experience I had. Really, it was overwhelming because, in revenue cycle, in denial management, we live our lives hunting for the policy to find the fix or for that appeal or to, to restructure something. So, yeah, resources, absolutely, Vanessa.
Yeah, for sure. And in that healthcare links page, there's also the American societies. Most of them are on there. Links to their very useful CMS links are on there. Just publications, important publications. Basically, I just think it's one of the most helpful tools out there for billing and for AR follow up, for sure. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yep. And do you have any other resources that that you found very helpful that you want to share with our friends?
Yeah, absolutely. I number one of anything, and there isn't really, a link for it, but I think the biggest resource throughout my career has been networking. It's been people. 100%. I would not be where I am today in my career if it wasn't for networking with people and reaching out and developing relationships and saying, hey, here's a gap in my knowledge, or here is a place that I want to go. This is where I want to be, 5 years from now. I see that, you have this in your, resume or your experience. And would you be willing to help me out? So any place, for those who are, AAPC chapter members or even a HEMA, those local chapters, connecting with people through the forums. But LinkedIn is a huge asset for networking. And it has come a really long way, for sure, even in the last 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
for being able to connect to people. And, like I would listen to a webinar and I would see who created that webinar and connect with them on LinkedIn and reach out and ask questions. So I think that in this industry and in revenue cycle and all the parts of revenue cycle, people are our biggest resource to helping us. And because there aren't a lot of, it's not like there's a big, huge revenue cycle webpage, right? There's not a big, huge revenue cycle.
There's
Google.
a great one on Facebook for the love of revenue cycle. Just saying, if you guys, I know that Vanessa is always answering questions. Vanessa's also reached out to me. Hey, this is something that's in your wheelhouse. Can you help? She reaches out to all of her network to help us out. So if you're not savvy on LinkedIn or, again, coders and billers, sometimes we're a little bit of introverts and we're not real comfortable. There's one place you can definitely go to. And I don't mean to plug it. I would plug it whether you were here or not, Vanessa, for the Love of Revenue Cycle Facebook page. It's always nice to use Facebook to see about the grandbabies and people's puppies and things, but it's also an amazing tool to network with those industry experts. So I can't agree with you more. You and I are on the billing advisory committee for AAPC, where we're always trying to find new ways of providing information and content on billing, on revenue cycle, denial management, all of those key components there. And it's through networking that we keep going.
For sure, for sure. And I think, you were asking me earlier, it kind of inspired me. And the Facebook group, what inspired me was the lack of resources, right? And
Mhm.
the difficulty sometimes it can be to find other people to answer these, nuanced questions. All kinds of nuances come up every single day
Oh
in what
yeah,
we do. And so, and I know 100% that I don't know 100%. So, I think there's like 3,500 members now and full of people who are learning all different levels, who are
right.
learning, who are experts, who want to know more, who want to know something different. And it has been amazing to see people take advantage of that resource, put their questions out there, and people coming in and helping each other out, sharing resources, spreadsheets, and PowerPoints, and
I
all kinds of
know.
stuff. It has been incredible, and I didn't do a lot. I just put it out there and was like, hey, it's here, let's do it. But that's what inspired me, is there needs to just be more access to those resources.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you hit it on the head. We've at some point in all of our careers, we've each and every one of us seen it, heard it, fixed it, tried to fix it. Um, I was chatting with Betty Hovey last night, and we were just going over like the strangest things that you've seen so far. And let me tell you that they are bizarre beyond bizarre, the things that we see either from coding or billing or, in this wild industry there. So, and another thing that I was going to share with you is, you hit it on the mark about going to these meetings and connecting locally as well, because they're dealing with
Mhm.
the same payers you're dealing with.
Yep,
So,
yep.
nationally, it's great to connect. And, there's a good chance that we're nationally dealing with those same payer issues. But once you start networking locally, you can really start to see, is this a pattern that's happening?
Yeah.
Right. And
Mhm.
maybe it's a particular payer that's having an issue. Um, I know from time to time, I'm in Florida, First Coast Service Options will send out a notification that an edit isn't working. And that's caused all of these denials. And they'll let us know whether or not we need to fix it or they're going to fix it. And
Right,
that's
right.
a great thing to share with folks is, hey, I can answer that question for you. I know why you're getting all of these denials right now, but hold tight. They're going to reprocess them for you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So that is awesome, awesome. So I'm so excited. So excited that you came on today. Now,
Yeah.
if I was a new CPB, let's say, or someone else in the American Medical Billing Association has credentials as well, education as well. If I was new to this industry and ready to hit the ground running, is there any particular direction that you would advise those people?
Yeah. So number one, as I have stated before, and it cannot be understated, is connect. So network. Try to connect with people who are already in the place where you want to be, and see and ask for their help in helping you get there. What was your path? What were some
Mhm.
of the choices you made? Some of the education you sought. That kind of thing. And then I usually point people to a program that's led by Emily Hawkins, which is called Market Me. Um, it is no lie that it is because of this program that I have the current job that I have, which is my dream job, and which is exactly where I'm supposed to be, and is exactly what I wanted to be doing for a very long time. So this program, it's incredible, and what I love about it is it doesn't just she doesn't just talk about having the best resume. She really talks about how to present yourself, which is why it's called Market Me. How to really present yourself in your industry and in your network in a way that is going to attract others to you. So it
Mhm.
makes it, instead of being reactive, you're being proactive, and you're marketing yourself, and you're saying, this is why you want me.
That is so
And
incredible.
yeah, yeah, and it's such a great approach, I think, and such an important approach, because that really is, even as a hiring manager, which I know you've done, I've done.
Mhm.
That's the kind of person I want, who's coming to me and saying, this is why you want me. So I would, and whether you go with Market Me or not, I would connect with some type of company or person who can help you create a great resume to
Mhm.
present yourself well. and to help you with interviewing, again, to present yourself well. So that's what I usually recommend. And then, I usually, if someone's starting out, I
Mhm.
remind them that in this industry, it's a journey. It's not like being a lawyer where you go to school, you graduate, you pass your bar, you start being a lawyer. It's not like that. And
Mhm.
it really is totally a journey. And so really being patient with yourself, being patient with others, and we get to build careers in this industry. And I think that it is a great opportunity, but it does take patience. So sometimes when you start out, it is a charge entry or a data entry or a, entry level position before you get to that one that you really want.
Mhm.
So I always recommend, to find organizations that have positions you're looking for. So let's say you want to be a remote surgical coder, right? So find an organization that has that, but then also has the ability, if you can't go straight into surgical coding, right? They
Right.
have those entry level positions where you can work up to surgical coding.
Absolutely. And another area that I have advised on the billing end of it is the charge entry, of course, is a great step in the door, but AR management, which is
For sure.
usually not the desired job. However, a couple of good things to know about that position. One,
Mm-hmm.
you are learning what the problems are. You'll learn every possible denial reason that you can think of, and you will learn how to mitigate that.
Mm-hmm.
Second, AR is often one of those areas. MGMA did a report a few years ago, and they said that between 50 and 65% of AR never gets collected
Right.
because of timely filing, because of appeals, because of whatever the case is. However, if you can jump into that position and grab that potentially lost income to the practice, when you sit down for your 3 month or your 90-day evaluation, think of what you're going to be able to show them. I increased your accounts receivables by 20, 30, 50, $70,000 since I've been here, and I've decreased the denials by X amount percent
Mm-hmm.
because we fixed the problem. I mean, sounds like a raise to me. I
Yeah.
might be reaching, but really, what are you going to do with that extra 70,000? No, they're never going to give you that. Don't get crazy, people.
Right.
But what are you going to do with that extra money that you got
Yeah.
coming into the practice now, right?
Yeah. For
So, I
sure.
mean, that's a great step too, is that
Mm-hmm.
other area that into that AR management,
Mm-hmm.
AR specialist position.
For sure. And when you're working AR, you see everything. So you get a peek into every single department in the revenue cycle and every step, every function. So if they give you that opportunity, that's where I would start. That's where I did start.
Yeah.
You learn a little bit about everything, and then you can kind of say, you know what, I think I want to do charge entry as my job. I mean, it gives you a window into it.
Absolutely. Well, Vanessa, I can't thank you enough for taking the time this
You
morning with
bet.
us. I know it's super early where you are and you're outside, and you are the rock star guest. I'm going to tell you, you
Well,
get the
thank
award, my friend. Thank you.
you.
Um,
Bet.
we've got a couple of things coming up. I think, Lexi, do you want to go ahead and share with them? We've got the colloquium coming up. JMCI colloquium is coming up. And that's going to be November 12th and 13th. Look at this lineup, friends. Look at this. It is some of the gold star subject matter experts in our industry. You are not going to want to miss this. If you are a local, or if you want to join us virtual, our Palm Beach, Florida AAPC chapter is hosting their annual fall seminar on October the 29th. And we also have a wonderful lineup of guests that will be joining us. You have the opportunity to join us in person and shake hands and get to know your area experts. You also have the opportunity to join us virtually. Hopefully, you don't miss that opportunity. Keep an eye out on Facebook and LinkedIn. We're going to be continuing to promote those events coming up. Um, Last but certainly not least, I have to say, remind all my AAPC friends, it is election time. please make sure that you have voted for your officers for your chapters. We need those chapters to stay open and live and be able to continue to provide you with this incredible information and networking, friends, that we do. Until next time, thank you so much for joining me, and take care. Thanks for watching.